John Waters says this great thing, you've got to use what society uses against you, exaggerate it and turn it into a style. And I think that this is kind of the launch pad for my own confidence to become the artist that I want to be. I'm Daniel Jaber. I am a performance artist and performance maker based here in Adelaide. So the piece that I'm creating as part of my breakout residency at the Mill is currently titled Putrid Piggy. And the title in itself is kind of a bit of a play on this dominant submissive role play situation or scenario. Themes that we're exploring are, I guess, what drives people to take radical action against abuse or violence. Two really interesting narratives which we're hoping to thread together through the theatrical medium of dance is Valerie Solanas' Scum Manifesto and also the story of Jeffrey and Lorraine Bobbitt. Part of my intention is to sort of zag in a culture that's zigging. I desire to create dance theatre performance which is really extremist and liberated and in a way kind of perverse and highly sexual. It was largely driven from an interest of creating something really provocative and confrontational and also kind of ridiculous and entertaining, and it only seemed fitting to kind of work with these outrageous stories of men having their genitalia chopped off by women. There's something really feminist and empowering about that. In a way, it's impossible for me to make a work that is true to myself and organic to myself, which doesn't have an influence of hypersexuality. So that's, I think, how we've arrived at Putrid Piggy. It was devastating, but on the final day of our development for Putrid Piggy, one of the dancers got sepsis in his knee. So, rushed off to hospital in a very high emergency setting, and he was there for 5 nights, had 2 operations, I think. Unfortunately we had to cancel the previous showing. I've been back at the Mill for 4 days. Following a few months of really hefty creative output. So I kind of came into this week not wanting to explore any particular work or theme, but rather just kind of re-engage with my practice at the end of this time and see how I was feeling and what I wanted to investigate and see if anything was going to come out organically. Turns out it didn't for the first 3 days, which was kind of terrifying. I was just sort of sitting here in a studio thinking like, something will come, and like nothing happened. So just hit this point of creative exhaustion, and then yesterday sort of started thinking, well, what happens if I start to make a piece about being exhausted? And it's kind of Christmas time and there's kind of all these happy songs playing about this joyful time of the year of relaxation and family, and everyone's kind of walking around just like exhausted and running on empty. Because maybe I've been working in this alternate space, like making works for galleries which are stagnant or still or image-based rather than choreographic-based. And I thought, well, this is actually a great opportunity to see if there's anything more in that world that I should explore. And that's kind of when things started to light up. I think the hardest thing working solo is that you don't have connection or companionship. Who are you most critical of in the world? It's usually yourself. So I think the greatest challenge is just kind of turning up and trying, even when you know that nothing particularly productive is coming. So one of the scenes I'm going to show tonight is a guy that's kind of hit his head against the wall so much that his skull might be slightly shattered and there's blood pouring out of his head or out of his nose or whatever, and he's just kind of sleeping against the wall. He's so tired. And then another image is a guy at a table trying to like manically scribe
It can be anything. It could be ideas, it could be marking papers, it could be trying to finish assignments or meet deadlines. But yeah, passed out, asleep again, snoring. Somehow like this automatron, kind of the body keeps going while the mind is completely passed out. And then a third idea is this kind of like how they chalk out dead bodies on the ground when they die. And then the vision for it is there's actually kind of this stairway to heaven, kind of like really religious-y looking stairway with this floating bed, which probably sits maybe 5 meters above the performer, who is passed out snoring on the base of the stairs. So I guess it's all these little pictures of like, I remember I was in Japan for a year and I'd always see like these businessmen passed out when the trains had stopped at like 11 p.m. or something, just sleeping on their briefcase until the next morning. And this kind of conjured up this idea of how tirelessly we work and fight exhaustion, when I guess maybe what I'm thinking is there should be more of a consciousness around the health and sleep and recovery. So very personal narrative in dealing with this point of the year for me. We'll see what the audience tonight thinks. I mean, I could be so tired that maybe they're just gonna tell me like, it's absolute garbage, and that would be cool too.